Hello, this is Towards a Christian TTRPG, where I share my journey to build an essentially Christian role-playing game without it being a straight-up D&D clone. So this video I want to discuss how different games deal with character progression and character development. So normally when we talk about progression in a game, it basically means leveling up. And this is absolutely a requirement when you're playing a game, because this is the way generally we'll measure success. This is how you know you're succeeding and getting better, especially in terms of a character. What I'm interested in looking at, though, is the different ways in which this kind of thing is handled. And does leveling mean anything in terms of developing along an actual character arc? However, character progression, as we define it, is more about a mechanical progress. The character develops more about skills and abilities in order to deal with bigger challenges through the mechanics of the game. So bigger enemies, more likelihood of rolling success in order to win the game, or at least progress through it. Generally speaking, character progression is a way for the player to live out kind of power fantasies through the mechanics of the game. Character development, in contrast, is all about a narrative progression. And generally, in a narrative, characters need to overcome some kind of inherent difficulty or weakness in order to grow. This can be internal, such as self-esteem or anger, or it could be an external difficulty like poverty or injustice or something else. And often the internal and external conflicts go together to raise the stakes. So normally the character has to overcome their internal conflict in order to achieve the external. So there are two general ways that different game systems handle character growth. One type of system focuses primarily on character advancement, and the other system on character development. So for character advancement, you usually have games that are primarily combat driven. So character advancement is primarily treated the same as a video game or as a kind of like a tactical board game. You receive reward points for killing things in whatever currency that is. This allows you to progress up a fairly loose path and therefore allows you to get better at killing things, killing more things, which gives you more points, which allows you to kill more things, and so on and so on. Pretty self-explanatory. That's the basic core game loop. So for example, in D&D, leveling up is generally accomplished either by gaining a certain number of experience points or by achieving various milestones, both of which are generally accomplished by defeating enemies or achieving or reaching a certain area on the map, or both. When you go up a level, you do various things, including you adjust your hit points, your hit point dice, you record new class features depending on which level you've reached, you adjust proficiency bonuses and modifiers and things like that. Essentially, because the core game loop revolves around comparing how many points you have plus a dice roll to a target number, then getting better at something can be quantified by being able to add more points to the attempt. That's how you measure your success. In Pathfinder, leveling is also done through points which are gained through killing things and surviving encounters and challenges. Leveling leads to increased proficiency bonuses, more hit points, class features, feats, attribute boosts, skill increases, etc. In the Traveller TTRPG, in contrast, characters don't gain levels or experience points in the same way as D&D or many other RPGs. Their characteristics, such as strength, dexterity, etc., are determined during character creation, and they don't increase as the game progresses. Characters improve instead through focused training on particular skills. They still gain experience through completing tasks, but this experience is then applied to gaining and developing types of skills. This means there's no actual levels, just an increase in their skills rather than in their stats. Their stats generally stay the same. The Star Wars role-playing game is similar in that you earn XP after every game, and the only things you can't spend XP on are increases to your attributes. You can spend them on increasing a skill or buying a talent in one of the specialization trees, as long as you can reach the talents along the same path that you've already bought one from. In Draw Steel, leveling up is tied to accumulating victories from both combat and non-combat encounters. These victories are converted into experience points after a rest, not during a rest, like D&D. When they convert the points, players can then gain a number of heroic resources equal to their current victories at the start of combat and at the start of their turn. So the more a player goes without resting, the more powerful they become because they're accumulating those victories. In DC 20, leveling up is still being designed, at least at the time that this video is being produced. But there are basic levels from 1 to 10, and then prestige levels from 11 to 20. Ability scores increase as the players level up. Players get skill points, which they put into different skills to gain additional ones without sacrificing feats or other things. All of these systems have a very mechanical view of leveling up, focusing on accumulating points, even if the points are called by kind of different names. This means that the core loop of these games needs to focus on accumulation of these points, since that's the only way you progress. If you get points for killing things, then 80% of the game should be about killing things. That's the main motivation. And the game should, by definition, be designed to generate murder hobos, since that's the easiest way of getting what you need. If, contrast, you get points for exploring, then it's all about exploration. And the players will be spending at least 80% of their time traveling to different places, since they will get points from reaching exploration milestones, either going into temples or dungeons or towns or whatever it is they need to do in order to get those points and in order to see that they are progressing. These systems contrast with more narrative-driven games, where the level is directly dependent on the character's decisions, not the player's decisions. So it's the character's decisions within the story itself. For example, Powered by the Apocalypse, players earn experience points when they fail a roll. That is, when they roll less than 6. This leads to a game loop of players trying to roll as much as possible and try new things that they're not necessarily skilled at, which leads to a lot more and different narrative results, rather than just the same actions all the time because they're guaranteed to succeed. In Blades in the Dark, whenever a player makes a desperate roll, which means the action is particularly risky or difficult, they get an automatic experience point. Also, players will get experience for doing particular actions depending on which playbook they are playing. It's different actions per playbook. But also, particular narrative actions earn experience, such as the character expressing their beliefs, or their drives, or heritage, or their background. Or if they struggle with issues from their vice or from their traumas, which are characteristics of Blades in the Dark. This also then presents a gameplay loop that pushes the players to role play in order to proceed. In Burning Wheel, there are no experience points or levels. Each time a character attempts a task using a skill or an attribute, it counts as a test. And after a certain number of tests at different difficulty levels, a skill or attribute will advance. This means the characters develop based on their actions rather than the player's intentions, and the characters become more skilled in areas that they frequently use. Again, this encourages players to pursue certain actions in order to get good at them, and should result in a varied gameplay experience and more narrative possibilities. In Call of Cthulhu, when a character successfully rolls higher than a skill during an adventure, they put a check next to that skill. At the end of the session, the player rolls a percentile die against the current skill value, and if they roll higher than the current skill, they then roll a d10 and increase the skill by that much. This means that skills with low values have a higher chance of improving. It encourages players to use a wide range of skills. So these are some examples of different methods, but I'm interested also in ways of incorporating character growth. So next video, I'm going to examine a few alternative ways of determining character advancement and development, and how games can use that aspect of the game to shine a light on how characters grow in general. And also, what does character growth actually mean from a Christian perspective, and how could a game reflect that? If you're interested in following this journey, please feel free to check out some of the other videos on this channel, or if you'd like to, feel free to like and subscribe. Otherwise, if not, as always, thank you for watching.